Welcome. Today we will be reading lesson 250 in the workbook and from the text, chapter 21, section 5, the function of reason, paragraphs 1 through 5. And now for lesson 250. Let me not see myself as limited. Let me behold the Son of God today and witness to his glory. Let me not try to obscure the holy light in him and see his strength diminished and reduced to frailty, nor perceive the lacks in him with which I would attack his sovereignty. He is your Son, my Father, and today I would behold his gentleness instead of my illusions. He is what I am, and as I see him, so I see myself. Today I would see truly that this day I may at last identify with him. Let one perceive the holiness and beauty in the other today. May their perfection shine in one's mind and be not denigrated or reduced to shape or form and limited to conditions of time and place. For one would leave the world of limits behind. In being created without form, was one created without limits. For love knows no limits, and there is no lack in love. Only fear perceives lack, and in perfect love there is no fear. Let one see today this perfection and love in the other, that one can recognize it in oneself, so that this sight can be directed to the truth, and that forgiveness can be made complete today. And now for our text reading for today, from chapter 21, section 5, the function of reason, paragraphs 1 through 5. Perception selects and makes the world you see. It literally picks it out as the mind directs. The laws of size and shape and brightness would hold perhaps if other things were equal. They are not equal. For what you look for, you are far more likely to discover than what you would prefer to overlook. The still small voice for God is not drowned out by all the ego's raucous screams and senseless ravings to those who want to hear it. Perception is a choice and not a fact. But on this choice depends far more than you may realize as yet. For on the voice you choose to hear, and on the sights you choose to see, depends entirely your whole belief in what you are. Perception is a witness but to this, and never to reality. Yet it can show you the conditions in which awareness of reality is possible, or those where it could never be. Reality needs no cooperation from you to be itself. But your awareness of it needs your help because it is your choice. Listen to what the ego says and see what it directs you see, and it is sure that you will see yourself as tiny, vulnerable, and afraid. You will experience depression, a sense of worthlessness, and feelings of impermanence and unreality. You will believe that you are helpless prey to forces far beyond your own control and far more powerful than you. And you will think the world you made directs your destiny. For this will be your faith. But never believe because it is your faith, it makes reality. There is another vision and another voice in which your freedom lies, awaiting but your choice. And if you place your faith in them, you will perceive another self in you. This other self sees miracles as natural. They are as simple and as natural to it as breathing to the body. They are the obvious response to calls for help, the only one it makes. Miracles seem unnatural to the ego because it does not understand how separate minds can influence each other. Nor could they do so. But minds cannot be separate. This other self is perfectly aware of this, and thus it recognizes that miracles do not affect another's mind, only its own. They always change your mind. There is no other. You do not realize the whole extent to which the idea of separation has interfered with reason. Reason lies in the other self you have cut off from your awareness. And nothing you have allowed to stay in your awareness is capable of reason. How can the segment of the mind devoid of reason understand what reason is, or grasp the information it would give? All sorts of questions may arise in it, but if the basic question stems from reason, it will not ask it. Like all that stems from reason, the basic question is obvious, simple, and remains unasked. But think not reason could not answer it. God's plan for your salvation could not have been established without your will and your consent. It must have been accepted by the Son of God. For what God wills for him, he must receive. For God wills not apart from him, nor does the will of God wait upon time to be accomplished. Therefore, what joined the will of God must be in you now, being eternal. You must have set aside a place in which the Holy Spirit can abide, and where he is. He must have been there since the need for him arose, and was fulfilled in the same instant. Such would your reason tell you if you listened. Yet such is clearly not the ego's reasoning. Your reason's alien nature to the ego is proof you will not find the answer there. Yet if it must be so, it must exist. And if it exists for you and has your freedom as the purpose given it, you must be free to find it. We learn in this section that perception is a choice and not a fact, not reality. In choosing between the guidance of ego or the Holy Spirit, two different perceptions will be encountered. And the teacher one chooses will be based on what one believes oneself to be. Believing oneself to be a separate body, as the ego sees oneself, one will perceive a world of limits and suffering, and experience a mixture of anxiety, anger, and despair. Yet in believing oneself to be an innocent expression of love itself, as the Holy Spirit sees oneself, one perceives a world of boundless freedom and miracles, and experiences gratitude, joy, and abundance in one's life. While perception aligned with the Holy Spirit is not reality, it meets the conditions of reality and prepares oneself for its arrival. And reason exists in the mind aligned with the Holy Spirit, and not with the mind connected with ego. While ego believes in separate minds, reason understands that minds cannot be separate, and therefore all miracles change one's own mind, there being no other.